Well, everybody, I'm Justin Bogard with Bright Path Notes, and this is the Real Estate Note Investing Be the Bank broadcast for August 2020. We got a great lineup of folks that are going to be on the call today, my good friends here, and we're going to be talking about mainly our program that we have out that you can invest in notes as far as learning, how to invest in notes. And stay on the call here and look forward to answering all your questions towards the end of our broadcast. Well, hey guys, how are you?
Hey, good to see you all.
Good afternoon.
All right, so where is everybody located today? Richard, start with you.
I'm in Petaluma, just north of San Francisco.
Ooh, Larry, Marishka, I assume you're at the same place, right?
We are in beautiful North Idaho.
That's right.
That's in Hayden, Idaho.
Okay, relative to the state, where am I talking? The southern part, middle part, upper part?
We're in North Idaho. So if you know where Spokane, Washington is, we're about 30 miles east of that.
Okay. And you used to live near Spokane, Washington, right?
Actually, we lived over on the west side of the state in the Seattle area.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you guys decided to get out of there quickly and move into Idaho, right?
We did. And, you know, the one of the reasons we were able to do that is because we invest in notes, and it's very virtual and very easy to just pack up and leave. There's nothing really keeping us there.
That's a great segue.
It's kind of interesting because one of the things about COVID is basically we learned it's like, okay, so we are doing deals virtually and we're doing deals all over the country. And so what's keeping us in one area? And, you know, we decided, okay, we love Idaho and we just kind of like said, okay, we're moving to this beautiful state here. You know, not to say that Washington's not beautiful too. It's very nice redeeming qualities, but
just
you know,
time for a change.
Yeah.
That's one of the two states I haven't been to, Washington and Idaho.
You need to come visit us.
I will. You guys got room for me and the 4 kids and the wife and the pets and right?
We have a big fenced backyard.
Okay. Maybe I ought to bring a camper out there. 2 or 3 days to get out there from Indianapolis. Richard, what's new with you?
Well, I'm fresh off of a little bit of vacation, so that's nice. I went to the East Coast and spent some time in New York, a little place called Shelter Island, which is quite nice.
Okay. And I believe you had a birthday recently, didn't you, Richard?
I did. I was 29 years old.
Again?
Despite my gray hair, I was 29 years old.
You know, at some point, Richard, it doesn't do you a favor to call yourself 29. I had to explain this to my dad that at some point it wasn't helping him, you know?
Yeah. Especially if you want to qualify for Medicaid or Medicare.
You really let yourself go at 29.
Yeah, it's all downhill.
It was a fast moving train, right? All right, Richard, we're just having fun. All right, guys, we're going to transition into the part of our presentation now. See you in a minute. All right, so this is the part where we start off our meeting to kind of showcase what it is that we're doing today. So first and foremost, we have to tell our viewing audience that we're not attorneys, we're not tax consultants, and we're definitely not financial advisors. We are all note investors and real estate investors in general. This broadcast would not be possible without some sponsorships. We have to give a shout out to my company, Bright Path Notes. And we've got the deal flow to make your cash flow as kind of our slogan there. And so you can reach out to me directly, Justin at Bright Path Notes, if you're looking for any inventory to buy and or sell. Our local real estate club is called CIREA, C-I-R-E-I-A, and they're a real estate educational company. As far as being local here, we're not a part of the national branch. We're just kind of our own little RIA here. We have almost 800 members now, I believe. COVID dropped our numbers significantly, and now we're back up. So we have educators and experts in the Indiana, Indianapolis area that, teach all sorts of things about real estate. And so, especially if you're investing in this area of the Midwest and Indiana, it's great to be in a local RIA like that, because you can have boots on the ground that can definitely help you out. So you want to reach out to our folks there at SCIREA. So one of our newest sponsors now is Constant Cash Flow, which is our note investing training company that we are, note investing training course that we have. And if you have any questions about that afterwards, reach out to info@brightpathnotes.com and we'll get you more information later today as part of our broadcast. And last but not least, it's our self-directed IRA company that we partner with. That helps sponsors the broadcast here. That's New View Trust Company. New View accounts at newviewira.com is who you would want to reach out to get into your retirement account. Maybe if you want to set up an IRA, a 401k, a Coverdale educational account, a health savings account, you name it. They do pretty much all different types of retirement accounts that you can invest in, real estate notes and other real estate things. How about that? So SCIREA, we want to let you know, those folks that are members of SCIREA and you're on tonight's event, or if you're watching this replay, want to make sure that you follow their social media stuff. They do have a YouTube channel that they post tons of free videos of what's going on. And don't forget to log in to get your PHP credits so you can use this QR code. You're going to see one later today. But if you take your smartphone out, you turn on the camera button, you kind of hover it over that QR code. It should pop up a website that you can go to. You can just enter in some data real quick. This only pertains to you if you're part of the SCIREA group. Again, that's bit.ly/SCIREA notes. All right. So I have a podcast. Larry and Marishka, you have a new podcast that you just started, right?
Yeah.
It's a fun world, isn't it?
Indeed.
So me and my friend Super E, we host this podcast called The Two Wealth Show. We've been doing it for now 3 seasons, about 3 years now. And you can find it on all the podcast directories. And we also film this on my YouTube channel, Bright Path Notes YouTube channel. You can check out the video versions of those as well. They're in between about 22 to 28 minutes long each. We interview experts in the business, and we also do a little bantering back and forth between me and Elizabeth. She does more the short-term rental is kind of her expertise, and I'm more on the note side of the business. So we kind of figure out how we can talk to folks and help them build their wealth, and that's really the engine behind that. So check out the Two Wealth Show podcast. Today's agenda, we're going to talk about the note basics like we always do. We always have folks on the live call here and during the replay that may not know what note investing is. So we kind of want to go over the basics of it so they can have a footprint of exactly what the heck are we talking about. We're going to go over the mortgage industry update so we can all look at what's been going on since COVID and the forbearances and stuff and see where we are today as national delinquency rates has been dropping. And then we're going to be talking about our new training course called Constant Cash Flow. That's our note investing training course. We're going to give you all the information, the pricing, what it does, what does it look like, and answer all of your questions here live on the call. So if you do have comments or questions, please put them in the YouTube or Facebook, whichever media outlet you're on. We will answer those. Most of the answer those at the end of the broadcast today. We may answer a few of them during the broadcast, depending on if there'll be quick answers or not. But please go ahead and fill out that comment section as much as you want with any questions that you have. All right, guys, let's talk about the note basics real quick. So we have a buyer and a seller, and we have this imaginary piece of real estate here. This seller has the deed to the property, right? And they're going to convey their ownership over to that new buyer. The new buyer probably went to a title company. They put down a down payment. They didn't have enough money to pay for the entire house. They had to go to a bank and get the rest of their money. So that bank says, okay, I'll give you some money to pay for this house, but in return, I need to use your house as collateral. So they write a note, a promissory note and mortgage. So that promissory note and mortgage is held by the bank because it secures their investment that they made to the borrower. The borrower's on the deed, the bank is on the note and mortgage. So that's the thing that we want to keep very clear in this scenario. So now we fast forward to how do we invest in these things and why do we invest in these things? And this is really the reason why. So again, we have that house, it's held the bank is holding that as collateral with the promissory note and mortgage. Remember, the homeowner's on the deed, and the bank really just owns the paper. They don't really own the house. And then you have Larry, you have Marishka, you have Richard, you have myself. You have a retirement account, you have a trust account. Basically, anybody or any entity with a lump sum of money can purchase that note and mortgage from the bank, just like that. Cash for note. How do you like that? So now the monthly payments, instead of going to, let's say, Bank of America, if that's the bank, it's simply going to go to now the new investor who invested in that paper. And that is pretty much the note basics on what we're talking about today. So now let's get into one of my favorite subjects that we've been talking about. I know Richard and I have been talking about this for well over a year. It's pretty much the trends of what's going on in the mortgage industry right now. So if you guys didn't know already, I know Larry and Marishka, you guys know this, but I get my information from Black Knight Financial Data. And they are a company that aggregates a bunch of mortgage data from Fannie, Freddie, FHA, VA, the portfolio loans, and what am I missing here? Jenny, May. They have all this information. They tell us kind of these trends of what's going on. And so we've noticed that the delinquency rate got up real high back in basically over 13 months ago. And then now it's slowly creeped back down every single month since then to what normalcy is. And we'll show you that in just a second. What I like about this stat is that the two numbers that come up first are in red, which is good. And then we got a green number at the end for the prepayment rate, which is going up, which is a good number as well. So if it goes red, red, green, if you remember that, that's good. Not stop, stop, go. It's just red, red, green. So this graph is really cool. It shows in blue what happened since 2001 to 2021. So we're seeing a 20-year history right in front of us right now. So you notice back in 2009 how it jumped up to nearly 11% in the national delinquency rate. And then what normalcy is what they measure between 2000 and 2005, that little green line. We are back down to pretty much what normal is, if not a little bit below. So things are looking very calm and normal right now. So this is a good sign, and that graph has been going down pretty steadily ever since, like I said, July or June of last year.
So Justin, do you think we are going to be able to maintain that number, that low rate?
I don't see why not. It looks like it went up a couple of times over the past couple of months, a little bit. But I think a big change is going to happen probably the next month or two. So we'll have to wait probably till October or November's report comes out for Black Knight Financial, because we're going to see here in a little bit, I'm kind of foreshadowing, is that a lot of the forbearances are going to exit in September. And so we're going to see the
what's the real shakeout?
Yeah. So let's talk about serious delinquencies. So serious delinquencies, guys, I know you guys know this, but for our viewing audience here, is anything that is 90 plus days behind is going to be considered seriously delinquent loans. And as you can see in the green part of the graph on the top, we have the markets with the largest change in serious delinquency rates. And guess who's number one there? Good old Las Vegas, Nevada. So what's interesting is that in February of 2020, right before COVID really started affecting places, they were about a 1.2% serious delinquency. And then in June of 2021, a couple months ago, they were at 5%. So that's a change of almost 4%, which takes into account, I'm not sure if the 17,800 is an actual number or if it's in the millions, or I'm not sure exactly what that means. But it's just interesting to note the cities and the states at the top 10. Is anybody close to any of those? I don't think so.
Yeah, we don't live. I mean, we have a friend in Vegas. We were just kind of talking about this just the other day. But yeah, they were also, I think, one of the leaders in the last housing downturn. So
that's right. Yeah. So the markets with the lowest change in seriously delinquency rate are different types of cities and states. Actually, I wouldn't say too different. It's interesting to note that San Francisco and San Jose, which, correct me if I'm wrong, they're relatively close to each other within a few driving hours. Is that right, Richard?
Oh, 6. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm way off. I was thinking it was a couple hours. Anyways, that's interesting to note. And Seattle's in there too as the lowest change in single delinquency rate. What do you guys think about this list here?
Well, I think it makes sense. A lot of the states with the lowest change are places that have a lot of tech employees, and
Okay.
They didn't necessarily lose their jobs. They weren't necessarily furloughed. They just worked from home for a while. So and they're highly paid. So that doesn't surprise me a tremendous amount.
That's a good point. I can see that for most of those cities on the lowest change market, but what about Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania?
Or Detroit.
Or Detroit, thank you, yeah.
That's an interesting one, too. Of course, Detroit just got so decimated in the last downturn.
I was just going to say,
Yeah.
Detroit is still an improving market, so maybe we won't see that quite yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, housing prices are still going up here in the Bay Area and Los Angeles and places like that. So we're still seeing multiple offers over asking and things going for hundreds of thousands of dollars over asking. So
Yeah.
we haven't hit the fan yet.
Yeah. And that's happening in Seattle too, and, maybe there's not, 30 multiple offers, but there's still 10,
Right.
So it's still significant.
So what's interesting to note, some of my data points that I have notes on my other monitor here is the Newark area has a change that isn't number one. It's a 2.5% change, but look at the change count in that number. It's 92,500.
Wow.
So in terms of raw numbers, the Newark metro area has the largest number of serious delinquencies, and that's about 9% of the nation's total.
Wow.
That's pretty interesting.
That is.
Yeah, something else would be interesting to chart here is Marishka's comment about tech is good. I read an article just last week that Apple, Google, and Facebook, and one of the other big ones, leased over 30 million square feet just in Manhattan alone.
Wow.
During the recession or during the COVID and last year. And I know they're doing the same type of thing in DC. They're starting to grow they're in Chicago now. There's a lot of cities that are seeing tech growth that we wouldn't expect.
Yeah.
Interesting. So I haven't read a lot about the Homeowner Assistance Funds program, but this graph was interesting to note. And it probably makes sense after I explain what all this means. So you're going to see, sorry, I see Larry put on his glasses. Now he's getting serious. So the percentage, let's just take Indiana, for example, 68%, and then it says 168 million, then it says 246 million. So what these numbers are saying is that the homeowners assistance funds are funds that are available to assist, obviously, homeowners, right? So if there are past due, PITI means principal and interest and taxes and insurance. Let's say there's $246 million dollars amount of mortgages that are past due. The HAF is giving 168 million of allocation to Indiana, which is 68% of the PITI that's past due. Does that make sense? You follow what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So the minimum that they are allowed to allocate, that they have to allocate to a state, is $50 million, right? And look at some of those states in there out like in Montana, Idaho, Wyoming. They're above 100% because they don't have as many serious delinquencies as other states do in numbers of volume. So what are you going to do with all that extra money, guys?
Oh, I'm sure we can put it to work.
Party.
You got to pick some streets. So
Well,
that was pretty interesting.
With any program like this, the part of the problem is as far as like getting it out, actually getting it and putting it to work. As we remember from the 2008 crash, there was all kinds of different assistance programs, and a lot of the money went by the wayside. It did get used up.
Yeah. But the hardest hits funds, is that the program you were talking about?
Yeah,
Right.
those types of programs. A lot of them just didn't get utilized, partly because the banks did a pretty poor job of rolling them out, and people just didn't know about them, didn't know that they were available.
Yeah, that's a good point. There was an article in the New York Times this morning about how evictions are going up considerably, and what they were saying is the funds are for the most part there, but the cities and counties didn't have the programs set up to distribute the money.
The rollout
a
is
lot of
really
cases, people didn't know how to apply for the money, and
Yep.
so when you put all that together, you've got a lot of people who got the money, but a day late, and they'd already been evicted.
Yeah.
So let's take, for example, South Dakota. Maybe that's not the biggest number on here, but it looks like it is. It's 232%. So that means we have well enough money to pay for all of the debt that's behind in their state, right? If 22 million is what they're behind in P&I, T&I payments, they have 50 million allocated to them. They have plenty of money to pay off that debt. Let's flip the script to New York now. Look at New York's numbers. If you can see that, it's 9%. So they have 539 million allocated to them with a 5.8 billion. We can call it a deficit. We can call it delinquency or decrease in their payments that are behind. Let's just say that.
Mm-hmm.
So Hawaii is 10%. So they have $500 million behind in payments, and they get 50 million allocation to them. So those two states alone make up about 40% of the national average.
I think all this means that the Midwest states should send more money to California. We've only got 22%. Come on.
I think California is going to slowly be, start drifting away from the continental states.
We know that. That's already happened. They don't call it the left state or left state. What is it for nothing? So
the left coast, yes.
Left coast,
Yeah,
yes.
right.
So this is just some interesting data points.
Well,
This
aside
next
from
graph-
being interesting data points, Justin, I just have to commend you for, you get an A+ in geography. You just knew which states they were. They weren't labeled,
Yeah, I could probably name off most of them. I feel pretty strong in geography. There's probably a couple of the small ones on the East
The
Coast.
little ones in New England. Yeah, I
Yeah.
get those confused.
It's somewhere up there.
Yeah.
He's got some pretty bright kids, from what I understand. So.
Yeah.
They color coordinate the United States chart for me. So
Nice.
I don't know what these other ones that are these little islands. I don't know what those things are. Anyways, so this pie chart is really cool because, as Richard and I have been saying every month for the past year, we've been seeing this pie turn more green and more gray, which are the good numbers. So as of July 13th, 2021, they have a snapshot of what's been going on. So if we imagine there's 7.3 million forbearances, we can say that 47% of them, almost 3.5 million, were removed or expired from the forbearance status and became reperforming. That's a good number. That's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
1.4 million of the forbearances was just about 20% got paid off. So this is, we heard about all the refis and all the appreciation of housing going up and people able to do cash out refis. This is a complete opposite scenario of what it was, and like what Larry said in 2008, 2009, because that was where people weren't underwater with their mortgage. Now they don't have that scenario. It's the complete opposite, to where they have more equity now in their mortgage. Even if they have challenges, it may be easier for them just to get it paid off or refinance, so they can get themselves into maybe a lower payment, or maybe a longer term loan to make their payment lower as well. So let's see if my math is strong today. So that's about 66% of all these forbearances have come out. We'll call it smelling like a rose. And when we started the pandemic, I'm sure all of us probably didn't see that number was going to be the number today that we're looking at right now.
Hey, Justin, regarding your last chart, I'm going to bring this comment up because I think it's a good one. Michael says the average home cost plays a part. Homes are more expensive in New York than Idaho. I think it's a good point.
Yeah, I think it does too.
Yeah.
You still can't get any more money though in New York. Idaho's going to have all the parties. That's why you guys moved there. You knew this chart beforehand.
Yeah, well.
So we have removed expired delinquent loans, about 225. We have delinquent and loss mitigation. That's about 370,000. So that red slice and yellow slice is the slice that is pretty much going to probably go through foreclosure. So that's a good chunk of a number. But as a whole, with these forbearances, what we're trying to say is that it doesn't look all doom and gloom like it did in the beginning.
Yeah.
Fair statement, guys?
I think it's a very fair statement, and it also has made it really hard to be a housing market prognosticator. This has just not gone the way I thought it would.
Yeah. I really think it all stems because real estate appreciated so much in so many different areas. I think it saved a lot of homes from being underwater.
Yeah.
High tide raises all ships.
I like that.
And part of the reason why the numbers went up the way they did is we kept the interest rates artificially low for so long.
Yeah, that's a good point. What is the lowest that you guys saw the interest rate go down to? I have a number in my head, but I'm wondering if it's the same as what you guys have.
It's like around 2.
Yeah, I was just going to say 2. I think I saw a 1.9 at one point, but yes, 2.
Yeah.
Larry?
But that was for a very qualified borrower and a low loan to value.
I saw, one. I'm sorry, Larry.
Yeah, I'd pay a lot of attention to it, but that sounds right to me.
Yeah,
So.
1.9%, I think, is what I saw too.
What's fascinating is, back in the 70s and 80s, 18% was common. And I mean, seriously. And when I was, when I was originating loans back in the late 90s, I had people who were so excited that I could refinance them down to 10, 11, 12% because they were at 16, 17, 18,
Yeah.
And they were thrilled. They were thrilled to get that rate.
Yeah, that's incredible. I can't imagine that being this time now. I mean, you have a rate of 1.9% and then you have an 18% rate that was what, 35 years ago, 30 years ago? I don't want to date you, Marishka. Maybe it was 15 years ago.
I mean, I meant my older sister was doing it.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. Much older sister.
All right. We're going to get through a couple more graphs and we're going to talk about the training course. Okay. So we're going to break down these delinquencies for you. There's a couple of graphs I thought were kind of neat. Again, I'm an analytical person. This is the Black Knight financial data. If you do have comments, please leave comments through the YouTube or Facebook. We will answer them. We may answer them as we go, or we may save them till the end in a little after party here. So status of loans that have left COVID-19 related forbearance plans. These are the remaining share are still in forbearance. So a little gray part in each sector here. We got FHA, which is, pretty much the borrower that has the most risk. I think we would all agree on that. The VA loan is probably the next step down. The GSEs are the government-sponsored enterprises, which are Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, Ginnie Mae. That's those types of loans. And then the portfolio, portfolio loans, I assume that's going to be in the sector of like the big banks and stuff.
Right.
I'm sorry, what, Richard?
Yes.
Yeah. And the private securities, and then the total market. That's kind of give us an overall average. So again, the red and the yellow, that's the bad stuff. The green and the gray is the good stuff. So you can just look at the data and it kind of shows, FHA, it's just the weakest borrower. So those numbers are always going to be the worst out of all of them. So,
And that's
I think
exactly
what's really
what it was
important
in the
about
last downturn. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
So I think what's really important about these graphs is basically it comes down to always doing your due diligence and how do we apply these loans to what we're doing in the note business? And basically it comes down to, make sure you do your due diligence.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. If you have a borrower with a $500 down payment on a $100,000 mortgage, I don't think things are going to go very well.
With a 580 credit score.
With a 79 credit score.
579. Yeah.
Okay, breakdown of all past due mortgages. So we're going to talk about 30 plus days, and then next slide, I'm going to do 90 plus days, which is serious delinquency. So again, delinquency is just 30 plus days past due, and serious delinquency is 90 plus days past due, just for the frame of reference. So again, we got post-COVID and pre-COVID numbers. Now, this is just the data that we have. There's a whole set of shadow inventory that we don't have data on because then again, that's more of the seller financing type of paper. So just want to say that this is the stuff that we know about, right? Mm-hmm. So of this post-COVID chunk, you can see 1 million of these past due 30-day plus mortgages are reperforming. The yellows and lost mitt, the reds and removed from forbearance. So basically that's going through foreclosure. And then the gray is never been in forbearance. So I'm not sure where that falls in. Maybe that's paid off loans. Maybe that's not. I'm guessing it's probably going to go towards the foreclosure part of it eventually. So the pre-COVID stuff is a lot smaller of a chunk, but if you add them together, that's kind of what you have, which looks like about maybe over 2 million. Now the 90 plus days is another subsection of that 30 plus day. So as you can see, the stuff that's seriously delinquent, we've got 145, 93, 200,000, another 200,000. So it's about 400, about 500,000, we'll say, within this data set that probably looks like it is in the realm of the foreclosure status right now, or going to be in the foreclosure status soon. So that's kind of what we're dealing with right now. So it's not a very large set, but again, we do have this set of shadow inventory that we don't want to deny that's out there, that we don't really have numbers on just yet, but that's stuff that is also going to come down the pipeline when foreclosure, when counties are going to allow more foreclosures to go through. So we're done with that part of it. So now it's time to talk about constant cash flow. And I just want to say that myself, Richard, Larry, and Marishka, we all collaborate outside of our business that we do every day with real estate notes. And we decided, why don't we just do a training course? We have lots of people that ask us individually all the time is, where can we get some training? What can we do to learn more about notes? I want to dip my toe in, or I just want to get a refresher of what's going on. Like, all these are great reasons. So if you're a first-time note investor, if you've invested in notes, or if you created notes before, if you're an active investor or a passive investor, and maybe Larry, you can explain what the difference of that is.
Oh, active or passive, or basically it's like if you're really doing the business yourself, or if you're working with somebody else to basically help you invest in notes. It's passive is basically, I'm going to have Richard is going to take care of my notes for me, and so I'm going to be very passive. Right. I'll send Richard all my money, and he's going to invest it wisely for me. Right? Right, Richard?
That's right.
He's got the credential in his email that says wisely. I can invest wisely for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's because you had a birthday. Now you're considered the wise one.
R. Wisely Thornton.
And don't forget, because this is the first time in a public setting that we are first offering this course, you get early bird pricing if you act now. Don't you love that? You can act now and you get early bird pricing. So what are we going to learn? Well, we're going to learn about real estate notes, specifically why invest in them, what are real estate notes, how to invest in real estate notes, like due diligence, like underwriting deals, underwriting borrowers. All that stuff's going to be broken down. And then also using retirement accounts and where you can go to get them and things like that. So I wanted to quickly mention the pricing. So the pricing is $697 regularly, but if you put in the code early, and if you use this website, evergreensuccess.com /CCF for constant cash flow, that's where you can go and sign up for it and pay. But this early bird pricing is going to be a limited time offer. So for $397, you're going to be able to get this course. And Marishka, correct me if I'm wrong, I think there's 25 videos out there.
There's over 25. I don't know the exact number. And we had actually decided to, have kind of a basic core curriculum, if you will. We will be adding modules as time goes by, but that's what we have right now is over 25.
Yeah. So each video is not going to be an hour long. Okay. So don't get worried about thousands of hours of videos. This is going to be dialed into something that's more palatable at a time. And we broke this in to chunks of like pretty much subject matters. And we dive a little bit deep into it. So it's going to be anywhere from maybe 4 to about 10 minutes long each. And these videos are going to be very impactful, and they're going to be straight to the point. And we have PowerPoint with it as well. And Richard, maybe you can dive in quickly as to kind of when you started in real estate, like you obviously were in the same place that some of these people are thinking about signing up for this course right now. And so what added value did we put into constant cash flow that would have added value to you when you were first starting in the business?
Well, I think one of the things that it added to me was I had a pretty extensive lending and real estate background. I had already been a commercial lender for 20 years. And I have to admit, I walked into this part of notes thinking, I got this. This is going to be pretty easy. And then somebody said, well, good. Then you can help us do a partial. And I went,
What?
And obviously I had no clue. There are so many different aspects of this that you just don't know if you are just in the conventional lending market or just in the conventional real estate market. And I think we discuss a lot of those aspects in this program and help you know what you don't know, which is a good thing, actually.
I like that.
I'd
Richard,
like
go
to, if
ahead.
I may, just kind of
Yeah.
follow up on that, because I think what Richard said is really true. I think when you are in the I don't know if it'd be, commercial. When I say commercial, I don't necessarily mean commercial real estate, but when you're in that world where maybe you're originating notes, you have a whole host of people who will handle aspects that you as the originator never have to deal with. You've got your title company, you've got your escrow companies, you've got your, your tax people, all these things. And you're basically just dealing with the borrower. And then you've got an underwriter who's going to, make sure they qualify and make sure that the house works and everything. When you're a note buyer, you suddenly wear all of those hats. And so that's why I think, for Richard as well as for myself, who both kind of came from a lending background, it was a little bit different story when we started buying notes, because you're having to look at all of those components. And that's one of the things that feedback that I get from folks is, wow, you really have to be an underwriter,
Yeah.
which doesn't mean that it's going to be, it's impossible or anything. You can learn anything you set your mind to, but you kind of need a roadmap.
Exactly. Larry, you want to add to that?
Well, kind of like what Richard said, as far as getting started and so forth, it is a long path, really. I mean, it's not something you learn overnight, and it's something that basically Marishka and I, we've learned from a lot of people, friends like yourselves and other investors and other smarter people than we are, that we've kind of said, well, what do you think about this and so forth? It's really just a learning thing, and it's I know I've heard people say, well, you should just jump in there and do it. It's like, well, you need to jump in there and do it after you've made sure that you're doing the right thing and learning and you
have a little bit of clue what you're getting.
Yeah. So as you guys can tell, listening to this now and watching the replay, all four of us come from some sort of real estate background, or we kind of got into real estate somehow differently. But I don't think any of us could just went out and just bought a loan and felt confident that we got the right deal or knew what the heck we were doing. And then having some fundamental skill sets and just knowing some of the basics and getting the terminology down and knowing really the process. I think, Marishka, you said this about the roadmap. It's like knowing what to do next, or knowing what do you look out for? How do you underwrite? What is risky and what is not risky? A lot of new time investors, they look at a deal and they focus on one thing. And I know all three of you are thinking the same thing I am, is they're focused on the yield, right? They're looking at what's my return, but they don't see the other factors to this. And we kind of go through and show you guys how we look at deals. How do we underwrite them? How do we underwrite the risk in them? And we know what to pay for it based on all these factors and values of it. And so that's kind of what we break down and show you. And you're going to have a lot of confidence going forward after you watch these videos as to what really path you want to go down, as far as being a note business, maybe like what we have, or just doing this for your own retirement account or building your family legacy or your family wealth. Like, either answer is fine. It's just you're really going to have a clear path as to what you want to do. Take out your smartphone, turn on the camera, hover it over that QR code. That'll get you right to that web page, so you can get in. You can add to bag. You can put in your early code there for $300 off for limited time only, and you can get into constant cash flow. And Larry, why don't you take us through kind of what happens after you get logged into the website here?
I'm logged in now. Okay, so it's actually a very simple program, and we've seen, you've all seen these sort of things before. So this is the front page, and basically when you first get your credentials to log in, you will have a login page, and then and of course you will have your password that's sent to you the first time, and of course you can change that password to whatever works for you. As well as if you forget your password or if there's a problem, there's all you have to remember is the basically the login constantcash-flow.com. And then if you lost your password, you can actually just click on a little link there, and it automatically sends you a new password. So this is the first page here, and as far as like the sign-in process too, I haven't gotten it automated yet. As far as where it actually just bang sends you a link right away. It's going to be something where I'm going to manually put you into the program. So be patient. If you do something late at night, you're probably not going to get it till the next day. So
at least for now. Eventually that'll change, but
yeah, I'm working on that part. There's just a couple little bugs here that I wanted to get it in process, and I just thought, well, better make sure that it works rather than do something that might be questionable. So basically, as you scroll down here, I'm going to tell you right here. There's actually a little video here at the bottom. You can kind of ignore that. That's a little bug that I've actually got the developers that are working on for me to get that larger, and then that's going to not be the space. But anyway, if you look down to where there's the modules, and this is for your general member login here, you'll see that there's all the videos here. And then the pro member is basically, we're going to be adding something special that's to be coming in the future. And that'll be like, you've all heard it before. That's an upgrade. So, but anyway, so again, very simple here. I'm just logging onto the introduction video, and
hi, my name is Marishka Pilch.
And that's my lovely wife, and it's her birthday tomorrow.
Oh, happy early birthday.
Thank you.
But yeah, that's pretty much the basic part of it. And of course, I do see that somebody asked about, is there a phone number if students have questions? If you want to send either an email to Justin or to ourselves here, any one of us can basically answer those questions for you. If it's a technical question about the program, the best one to send me an email to would be info@evergreensuccess.com. If you've got a link that doesn't seem to be working or something like that, that's where I'll be taking care of that part. So that's basically that.
Larry, what was that email once more?
Info@evergreensuccess.com.
Okay, good. And
Yep.
Justin, if you can, how about if you bring up that QR code again?
Sure.
I was trying to use it just for timing sake, and I was unable to pull it up. And I think a number of other people would also have had the same problem.
Leave it out there for just a second. I'll add some notes in here for those of you on YouTube and Facebook, so you know a contact email for tech support will be the info for now. info@evergreen success. Is that right, Larry.com?
Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Then you can also reach out to that for just really any questions, but especially the technical ones. Larry will get you through it. Once you get into the website and stuff, we'll get you the information, the login, everything that you need for that. Okay, good. It showed up on Facebook and YouTube. I wasn't sure if it did that or not. Cool. All right, take your smartphone. You can cover that Q code, or you can type in the URL evergreensuccess.com/CCF. Don't forget the early promo code early. It's for limited time offer. Limited time is, well, that's not determined yet, but it's going to be up for a couple weeks because we want people that watch the replay to be able to take advantage of the low cost. And cool.
Justin, you were supposed to use your radio voice and tell them it expires today.
And now,
that's right.
I don't know.
Okay, so one reason.
Sign up now because.
All right, you guys. So one reason that we're waiting, or we're actually not putting a deadline yet, is we're still adding a few more things to this as well too. So, we don't think it's really, we're really darn close as far as everything plan on putting there, but there's a couple more videos we want to put in there. Actually, 3 more
Yeah.
videos at least. But this is basically, there's a lot of stuff here.
So
Yes.
we have a question from Michael. This is a good thing to ask. Is there an annual fee, Justin?
Right now, for this part of the course, there's not an annual fee. This is going to be kind of a one-time hit to you. There will be some subscription models that Larry was talking about as far as the pro membership. That's going to include some extra stuff. We don't know everything we're going to be able to include just yet, so we don't want to say what it is, but it's going to be additional training and more advanced training, if you will. Probably some live webinars, probably some live walkthroughs and things like that. We are going to add some case studies to the core curriculum here, and they're going to be case studies from pretty much from our real estate portfolio bag that we have. They're going to be different ways maybe we got out of a deal or different ways we got into a deal, and just kind of show you guys and walk you through kind of how our brains are wired and how we work through different ways. And it's really fun to see if all 4 of us had the same deal in front of us, how all 4 of us would have a different way we would approach it and a different way we would exit it as well. So it's just kind of cool to see how the brain works for each note investor as well. So that's a good question, Michael.
That's a really good point. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, that's actually a really good comment too, Justin. And basically, we're not your gurus. You've heard that before. Run to the back of the room, at the guru seminars and so forth. We are people that are doing deals every single month, every single week, every single day. And so that's how we keep fresh on everything we do. So, this is real world stuff here.
I would also just say, to Justin's point, there's really no one right way to do a deal. And so just depending on your knowledge, your experience, and your creativity, that could significantly, and sometimes just luck, that could significantly impact how you might handle and exit a deal. So there's, what we want to do is just show you that, real live people can do this and break it down and make it as straightforward as possible, but understand as well that, there isn't just one way to do it. So we really encourage you to ask questions as well, because we do want to make this kind of make it as good as we possibly can. So if you have questions, if you have suggestions of, hey, what about, could you cover this? Please let us know, because we would like to, we'd like to address that, and we'd like to make it as good of a program as we possibly can.
Yeah. Great. Well, guys, stick around for a little bit of the after party. We're gonna get through some of another slide here, and then we're gonna transition over and answer the remaining questions that we have out there in comments and stuff. So still have comments or concerns, or just you want to know a little bit more about what we have to offer, or what you're going to learn during Constant Cash Flows videos. We're going to bring that up here in just a minute. So let me get through the next part of my slide, which is talking about the next time that we're going to have our meetup, our broadcast. And it's going to be September 8th from 6 to 8 p.m. Don't forget to follow Bright Path Notes on our social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You got Richard's email. You got my email up there. We'll throw up Larry and Marishka's contact info. Would be info@evergreensuccess.com. We got that in the comment section right now. And guys, stay with us for just a second. We're going to end this part of our show and bring on our after party.
Woo-hoo.
All right. Thanks for staying with us. And I have a little ticker down at the bottom just so you remember what to log into. If you missed that QR code, you can log into evergreensuccess.com/CCF to sign up for the Constant Cash Flow Training Program. And guys, I just want to say thanks for collaborating with me on this training program that we got going. I'm really excited to obviously release it today for the first time. We've been working on it for quite some time. I want to say about 6 or 7 months now, and trying to figure out really when I started in the note business, I thought I could be able to buy a note pretty quickly. And then I learned very quickly, like, oh, I didn't even know I need to worry about that. And so just having somebody be able to tell me, or knowing a place to go, or not having to research a bunch of books or random videos on YouTube, and having one place to go is just really nice. So I just, when we got together, I wanted to make sure that, my input was like, look, when I started out, it would have been really nice to know what the heck is in a launch, and just kind of dive and step back and just know the terminology, and then get into, exactly how do we look at deals. And I know, some of our mentors are the same people, and they look at a deal one way and they coach you and train you, to do one thing, but it's really no wrong answer. It's just, as long as you have all the data points, you can make a pretty determined, educated decision on if you want to buy that loan or not.
So we got a question from James. Will this cover seller financing and brokering notes?
It will.
Okay.
It will. We do dabble into that, and we kind of gloss over not just the basics, we dive into what you kind of would need to know. Perhaps one of our case studies is going to show brokering a note, kind of what it looks like, and what the numbers look like for that as well. So we're happy to add another case study if we need to, James, for that. But yeah, we're definitely going to showcase that, because we feel like that's a pretty important step, especially right now. There's a ton of seller financing happening because the need of the lending on real estate, because not a lot of borrowers are able to qualify for traditional mortgage from a big bank.
So true. In fact, credit availability is, despite the fact that the rates are so low, and that's the thing I always hear from people all the time. It's like, well, why don't they just get a mortgage? The interest rates are at historic lows. And it's like, well, only about a third of people who apply for a mortgage at a bank actually can get a mortgage, because the credit availability, the underwriting guidelines are fairly strict. And, we're at about 2014, maybe 2015 levels for availability. So,
well, and Marishka and I have created some seller finance notes, and just the power of doing that. It's a way that you can help a seller. It's a way that you can help somebody get into a house, and just make a win-win-win for everybody. It's really.
And sometimes if you have to take a house back, maybe your note, goes sideways and you end up having to take a house back. Okay, I don't necessarily want to own this house. I don't want to have it as a rental. That's across the country. So you can turn around and seller finance it. So we've done that a number of times.
Richard, how important is location as far as when you have a note in front of you? Let's say you're looking at one note, and you obviously understand the numbers of the note as far as the loan terms and stuff. But when you get into the location of it, when it's kind of away from a big city, but it's not too far from a big city, like, what are some important factors? Just give us a little taste of what we're going to see in some of these breakdowns.
Well, I obviously think that what I typically look for is as diverse an economic base as I possibly can.
Yep.
So if I can find a house that's right next to a downtown, or, that's got a good population, so that I know it's got a good employment base. I don't want to buy a house or a note that's way out in the Tules if there's no employment to go along with it, because you're probably going to be hard pressed to find somebody to buy that if that's not the case. So that's a huge factor that I always look for location.
That's a good point. I often see first-time note investors, they want to invest in their backyard, and no fault of their own, because that's kind of the default logic that we all have when we get into the business. It's like, how much return can I get, and can I invest in my backyard, right? Those are usually the two things that we all commonly find with first-time investors. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that you're not going to find it.
Yeah, depending on where your backyard is too. I mean,
Yeah.
So I could invest in my backyard, but I'd have to be buying $800 to $1 million notes.
Yeah.
And there's not that many people out there that can buy those notes of that size.
Yeah. It's not like it is in what is it? I think we found out in some of our research that it looked like Mississippi had a lot less expensive unpaid balances versus people in California. It's just a totally different money scale there.
Yeah, or Indianapolis, places like you never can tell what you're going to find there. Jeez.
Well, and if you do invest in notes in your own neighborhood, it basically like, do you feel more compelled? Do you have to go look at the house? And of course, if you've got a bar on the house, it's not like you can actually go inside or peek in the windows and see how they're taking care of the house, or it's really the banks the big banks do borrow or do loans all over the country, and that's really what our goal is to do as well too, because it's easier just to step away from it and
it's changing the mindset from somebody who say is a flipper or a buy and hold investor, and they maybe want or need to be near the property. Now, even a buy and hold investor, you could have a property manager, or I suppose even a flipper, you could have a remote team. But that mindset, I think, comes from people who maybe have been in that world, and they don't want to have to drive 100 miles to their project house. Well, if it's paying, or even if it's not, I mean, who cares? If you're going to be able to create cash flow out of it, you have these teams of people who you work with, and it's mostly virtual. You might have some local boots on the ground for certain types of services, but you don't need to be present. And as Larry said, that's not how banks look at things.
Right.
They don't care if it's in their backyard, as long as they're licensed. With note investors, we don't have to worry about that as much. There's certain states where you have to be careful, but we just make sure that the loan was properly created, and then we can buy it.
Well, yeah, that and having it in your backyard, it doesn't make it very passive, does it? Because like you guys mentioned, you just want to walk down there and be like,
yeah, you're going to be stressed about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if Larry's peeking in the windows, is there a different name for that?
with his flowered shirt on. Oh, that one. Larry's usually wearing his Hawaiian attire. So
eyes come up over the window. Okay.
So
for that reason alone, don't invest in your own backyard.
Yeah.
So to that point, there's been a couple of deals that in all honesty, we've had a deed in lieu, and we've had to take the house back. And I remember in one in particular, speaking of Mississippi, I said, God, I'd love to go and rehab this house. And I'd like to go see if we could do something in this house. And Marishka talked me down off the ledge, and we said, no, we're not going to do that. And it's like, God, this thing had like basketball high ceilings. It was like a gym. And I thought, oh man, I got to do this.
It had 15-foot ceilings, throughout the house.
So in the end, we ended up selling it to a young couple on seller financing, and they were like thrilled. And they did some rehabbing on the house, and actually he got a job offer out of state, and so they ended up selling it and making a good deal on it as well too. And it was a win for everybody, Yeah. And Marishka and I have never seen the house. We've never been in the house, but
no.
Yeah, seller financing, it solves a lot of problems for a borrower and even a lender too, or even the real estate homeowner. I've had a similar situation to where I bought something in my retirement account that wasn't really moving. It was a piece of land, and I couldn't figure out what to do with it. And finally I was like, why don't I just do seller financing? And as soon as you put it on Facebook Marketplace, boom, I had all the requests that I would ever want. And it was very easy to sell it on seller financing. So it can solve issues for the lender or the homeowner as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Those are just a couple of techniques that you learn with the constant cash flow investing series or training program here, and you're going to learn a lot more things. Like I said, we're going to cover it all from start to finish. By no means are you going to be a guru or an expert at the end of it, but you're going to have a good, strong foundational knowledge of exactly how to get into a deal, get out of a deal, and then you're going know who to talk to or who to partner with if you need to in the future as well. Because that's the one thing all four of us are very seasoned investors and note investors as well. But believe me, we all still lean on each other for advice and help because we have never run across the same note twice.
Actually, Justin, you bring up a good point, which is when you do take the course that we're offering, you get access to us and our networks. Mm-hmm. And we've all got through Note School and other things, good networks around the country of lawyers and different people to deal with. And if you want to know something about market XYZ, there's a very good chance that we know somebody who can help us in that market or help you in that market.
Yep. Yeah, we definitely have seen and know of a lot of different vendors that can help you in different areas. A lot of servicing companies, they have ties to title companies and attorneys in specific states that you need help in because they have loans that they're servicing in all sorts of different states. So it's just good to have a lot of contacts, and it's good to have us four together combined. We know a lot about note investing. There's probably a few gaps that we don't know about, but we definitely have people that we can lean on too outside of our group of four here that can support us and answer our questions when we need to. Because believe me, even being in the business for 20, 30 years, there's always something new that's going to pop and be like, wow, that's interesting. That county did that. I didn't know about that.
Well, also the market, we all have to pivot. So maybe we get into this for performing notes, but then we realize we have to do structured finance because performing notes have petered out or for a while, or there's different cycles in the market.
Exactly.
Yeah. You guys have anything else to add about the course that we missed out on?
Let's see. I'm trying to see if we have different comments here. We've got a lot of people who are saying thanks very much.
Yeah.
James is saying awesome. Thank you. Michael also likes what we're doing here. So thanks very much, guys. No, I think we've pretty much covered it all, unless Larry and Marishka can think of anything.
No, I just, again, I echo, what Larry said. We're not gurus. We're just real note investors who've been doing it for, I don't know, collectively how many years, but, I know
we don't want to mention that.
We've been doing it for 10. So, we've been around the block and as both Justin and Richard alluded to, we don't have all of the answers, but we often lean on each other for answers, mm-hmm. as well as, contacts and our network that we've developed outside of here. So that's really our ultimate goal, is to just help people, with a foundation, a good solid foundation, so that they can get started and then, grow and have those connections so that you can grow in the business if that's what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. There's different paths you can go down in real estate note investing. It's not all just one direction, right? There's performing loans, there's non-performing loans, there's getting into lending and creating seller financing. There's second liens. I mean, there's just a lot of different niches within this niche business called real estate note investing. And it's just a very interesting world. There's not very many of us out there that promote and brand ourselves like we do. But, there's just, once you get into the community, you realize there is a lot of people in the community. Just as a whole in real estate, it's nothing compared to traditional real estate, right? But there are, you could probably say, with all honesty, there's probably thousands of us out there.
Yeah. And, the one thing I just have to say, because, there are, I don't know how many flippers there are, but we all know that that's like the big, that's what everybody does. But, let's face it, it's really hard to make an HGTV show about notes.
Yeah, there's no drama in it. Like a deal goes bad. Oh, a deal goes good. Yeah.
Or a deal goes bad and you go, but let me see if I can fix it. And then you go,
okay.
That was even better than I thought.
I got an eraser here on my pencil, so we're good.
I mean, we've had deals that quote unquote went bad that actually ended up turning out much better than if they would have just paid all the way along, So, I mean, no promises that that's all is going to happen, but you just, have to be creative and persistent and persevere. And there's a lot of different exits. And, that's just one thing I guess I would say right now is if you buy a note, don't have just one exit. Don't just have that be, this is how it's got to go. Think about what could go differently. How might I handle this? And oftentimes those can end up being even more profitable.
Yeah.
So one thing we didn't cover, Michael wants to know if there's a phone number students can call.
What I would say is, again, if you have, Richard's or Justin's contact information, or you can email info@Evergreen Success, any one of us, we'd actually prefer to take it initially by email. If we then need to hop on the phone with you, we can make that decision. But ideally, we have lives and we also have businesses. And so we're at this point, we don't have a phone number for you to just, call and ask questions. But we do want to answer your questions. So, reach out to us, by email. And if we need to hop on a call with you, then we'll make that judgment. But I'd say start out with email.
Yeah. Thanks for mentioning that, Marishka. And yeah, you're right. This is important to us, and we will answer your messages. And if it requires a phone call, by all means, one of us is going to jump on a call and contact you and help you with something that you have a problem with or explanation. Totally happy to do that. But yeah, please, we'd like to channel the communication through email if at all possible. Like she mentioned, if you have my contact info or Richard's or the info@evergreensuccess.com, all that information is fine. We will get one-way communication for this. It's just right now we are working through a couple little challenges with the software that we have, but we will make it smoother in the future. But for right now, we just want to get the course out there so you guys know about it. We've had a ton of people ask us about this course, and we just felt the need, like, okay, let's get it out there, make sure it's functional so it can work, and we can, tighten it up a little bit in the future. So I look forward to adding more case studies to this course and then offering our pro membership here in the near future as well. So any saved rounds here? Anybody have anything else they want to add to it?
Well, the only thing I'll add is that Thomas says the brain power of those four folks is massive.
Oh, I love it.
Thanks for the vote, Thomas.
I got so much brain power, my hair is falling out.
Yeah, that happens.
I don't know. It went to my face. It fell out and just fell on my face.
That's right. That's a great way to close the show.
Right.
So and like we've discussed earlier, it's still kind of a work in progress. So if there's something that you think we should have covered, it'd be worthwhile to just go ahead and say, can you cover this section or can you cover this a little more thoroughly? Because we're not perfect, but
we did what we thought made sense, but honestly, and that's part of why you're getting this really special deal. I mean, we think it's well worth $697, if not more. But that's part of why you're getting this special introductory offer. Is you're kind of the beta testers, so please give us your feedback.
Yeah, we would encourage some positive testimonials as well.
Oh, we really appreciate that.
Kudos.
Right. All right, guys. Until the next month. See y'all.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.